In Maasai land, a group of young Maasai warriors, the Morans, prepared to go for cattle raid. And they were so happy, so excited, imagining the journey that was waiting for them. And even as they set off, they sang and they danced along the way. One of the warriors' name was Ole Sankale. And as they were walking, Ole Sankale's sandal broke. It was so hard for him to continue walking that way. So he sat down on a rock, and from his bag he brought out a short stick and a long thin thread made from dried cow skin, and decided to mend the sandal. He told his friends, "Hey, please wait for me." But they did not want to lag behind, and they told him that he would get them on the way. So he told his younger brother, who was also one of the Morans, "Hey, my brother, please wait for me." His brother too was in a hurry, and he said, "Take your time, my brother. I will go along with our other group. If we come to a place where the path goes in two different directions, then I will take a branch and I will put it on the path that we shall use. And then you will know which direction to follow." And off he set to go with his friends. It took a while for Ole Sankale to mend the shoe. And finally, when he was done, he put it on and he hurried on to go and meet his friends. And just like his younger brother had promised, when they came to a place where there was a fork, he had put a branch. And when Ole Sankale reached there and saw the branch, immediately he followed the way the branch was pointing. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked and walked and walked. And as he walked, he looked around to see if he could see any signs of how far the group ahead was. Footsteps in the sand, broken twigs on the bushes, but he did not see anything. What he did not know was that once the warriors had gone, a strong wind had come and blown and blown and blown the branch from one path to the other path. Still, he walked on, and when he saw in the distance an old man grazing his cattle, he walked a bit faster, planning to ask him if he had seen a group of young Morans, young warriors, walking along the road. When he came near the old man, he stopped in surprise. This man was unlike any man he had ever seen before. He had not 2, but 4 eyes, 4 ears, 2 mouths, and 2 noses. Yes, the man had 2 different heads. And his cows were quite unusual as well. For you see, while each cow had 4 legs and 1 head, each cow had 2 different tails. Wow. Still, good manners got the best of his curiosity, and he called out to the old man in greeting. "Hello, my father, how are you today?" And the old man asked, "Hello, young man, what are you doing in these parts?" And Ole Sankale explained how he and his friends were going for a raid, and how his shoe had gotten broken and he had to sit down and mend it. And his friends had proceeded in front of him. "Young man, when you look at me, what do you see?" the old man asked. "Well, my father, you just look like any other person, any other human being," Ole Sankale replied. "I see. And when you look at my cows, tell me, what do you see?" Oh, the cows. The cows look like just any other cows. Can you see? Ole Sankale replied. The old man nodded. He could see that Ole Sankale had a wise head on his shoulders. And he said once again, wow, if it is cows that you want, it is cows that you will find. Proceed just like you are going. But do not carry anything that you find on the way. And if anybody gives you a choice between a good thing and a bad thing, make sure you always choose the bad thing. The young Moran found this very strange advice, but he decided to trust the older man. And giving him his thanks, Ashe, he walked off and continued walking. And he walked and he walked and he walked, and he felt quite thirsty. So when he heard the gurgling of a river, he quickly hurried, hoping to get some water to quench his thirst. But when he came to the river, he was quite surprised. For although the river flowed just like rivers flow, the river did not have any water. And instead, it had white, creamy milk. And he went down on his knees, wanting to take some of the milk and enjoy them. When the river spoke. Yes, the river said, "Hey young man, you look quite thirsty. Why don't you carry some milk in your enkukuri, in your gourd, and drink as you walk?" Remembering the old man's instructions, Ole Sankale did not carry any milk. Instead, he said, "Thank you very much for the offer. Well, let me cross over and then I will fill my gourd from the other side." And he crossed over and walked away without carrying any milk. And still, he continued on his journey. And as he walked, his ears could pick out loud, clanking sounds. It sounded as if it was metal, hitting on metal. He heard it was coming from behind a bush, and he went to investigate. And there, he found two swords that were sharpening each other, all by their own. And when the swords saw him, they called out, "Hey, warrior! You look like you could do with a sword. Why don't you come here? Why don't you sharpen one of us?" But Ole Sankale quite cleverly said to them, "Very well, let me walk a little farther, and then I will come back and sharpen you." And he walked off. And by now, he was feeling really, really hungry. His stomach grumbled and growled, for he had not eaten anything since what he had had that particular morning. And so, when his nose smelled the aroma of roasting meat, he followed it until he came to a clearing with an open fire and huge, delicious-looking chunks of meat roasting on top. And when the meat saw a man coming, the meat began chanting, "Eat us, eat us, come and eat us, eat us, eat us, come and eat us." This was quite strange, and Ole Sankale knew that he had to think fast. He said to the meat, "Well, let me walk a little bit farther, then I will come and eat." And he walked, although it was really, really hard and really, really tempting for him to pick just one piece and eat as he walked. And he continued to walk, and he walked, and he walked. He was really, really tired. He was starving. He was thirsty. And when he saw quite far in the distance what looked like an enkang, a homestead, he quickened his steps, wishing to reach there before it was dark. And he walked and he walked and he walked. And when he came to the homestead, he lifted his hands to open the gate made from thorns. And then, when he had gone to open the gate, the homestead had moved further. He stopped for a while, and then he walked on and reached the homestead once again, stretched his hand to open the gate, and the homestead moved once again. Well, he decided to use a different tactic. To his utter surprise, the homestead stopped. He walked, opened the gate, and went, stood outside the first manyata, the first bomber, the first enkaji that he found. Out of the house came an old lady. Ole Sankale greeted him courteously, politely, and explained that he was on a journey and it had become dark, and he was just asking, requesting politely for something to eat and a place to rest for the night. The old lady welcomed him inside and asked, "Well, would you like some fresh milk, or would you rather have some stale milk?" Remembering the old man's instructions, Ole Sankale replied, "Well, my mother, why would I trouble you to get me fresh milk? Well, stale milk is available. Please, let me have the stale milk." And he was given a big enkukuri, a gourd full of fresh milk. And when it was time for people to go to sleep, he was asked if he would like a clean bed or one that was full of ashes. And he asked for one that was dirty, and he was given a clean bed to sleep for the night. And he slept soundly. The next morning, the old lady came to wake Ole Sankale very early and said to him, "Enkarayai, my child, stay inside the manyata. And even if you hear any sound, don't make any noise and don't come out." "Very well, my mother," Ole Sankale said. And soon he heard a sound, a shaking sound, so loud, so thunderous, that the house shook. He was quite curious to find out what was happening, but he did not go out until it stopped. And once it was silent again, the old lady came and led him outside. And there he found an enormous herd of cows and goats and sheep and donkeys. And the old lady said, "Ole Sankale, you have indeed stood the test of time. All this is yours. Go back home in peace." And in addition, she showed him a shorter route to go back to his people. Now, when Ole Sankale showed up at his village, everybody was in shock. You see, when he had not showed up, the other warriors had thought that he had been eaten by wild animals. And to make matters worse, they had not been successful in their raid, and they had come back home empty-handed. So when Ole Sankale showed up with an enormous herd of cows and goats and sheep and donkeys, everybody wanted to know where he had been. And he sat down and he told them about the adventure, about the experience of his journey. And he finished this saying, "I have been to God Enkai's country." The whole village, so happy, welcomed him back in song and dance. Now Ole Sankale's brother was quite jealous. He did not like the idea that his older brother had a lot of animals while he only had a few that their father had given them. And he decided that he too was going to set off and go to God's country and come back with even more animals. Ole Sankale tried to reason with him not to go, saying, "Olale Shelai, my brother, please don't go. You might not be as lucky as I was." But the younger brother insisted, and he set off, following the journey as he had heard from his older brother. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, until he came to the man with 2 heads and his 2-tailed cows. And as soon as he saw the man, he exclaimed, "Hey!
Kenyan.
What kind of human being is this with 2 heads? And what strange cows you have with 2 tails?" He did not even shout his greetings to the old man. But still the old man asked, "My son, what are you doing in these parts?" Now, Ole Sankale's younger brother lied to the old man that they had been on a journey to a raid and that his sandal had been broken and he had to sit down and mend it. And the older man gave him the same instructions. "Follow this path. Do not carry anything on the way. And if you're given a choice between a good thing and a bad thing, always choose the bad thing." This young man did not even thank the old man, and he just set off. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, and he soon came to the river that flowed with cool, white milk. And when the river called out to him to come and drink, he went down on one knee and he drank as much as he could. And when his stomach was okay, he took out his enkokuri, his gourd, and dipped it in the river and filled it up to the top with milk. And he sipped this as he walked along the way. And he walked and walked and came to the 2 swords that were sharpening each other. And when the swords called out to him, he sharpened them and then tested the sharper one, took it, put it next to his hip, and he continued to walk. And when he came to the meat, the roasting meat, oh, the sweet smell seduced him. And he sat down, he cooked the meat, and he ate all of it. He did everything that his brother had not done. By now, he was tired, he was full, and he walked slowly along the path. And finally, when he arrived at the homestead, it was really dark. He raised his hands to open the gate made from thorns, and the enkang, the homestead, moved. This young Moran was not happy. He took his spear and threw it at the homestead. The homestead stopped, and he went straight into the first manyatta and called out, "Hey, anybody home?" Just like before, out came an old lady. And even without greeting the old lady, Ole Sankale's younger brother said, "What kind of a woman are you that you greet a warrior with empty hands?" Still, the old lady smiled and said, "My child, welcome in. Would you like some fresh milk or some stale milk? Look at me. Of what use is stale milk when I can have some fresh milk? Give me fresh milk. The old lady went inside and came out with stale milk. And Ole Sankale's younger brother drank it, grumbling all the way. When it was time to sleep, he demanded to be given a clean bed, and he was given one that was full of ashes. And the whole night he just tossed and turned, complaining loudly, but waiting for the morning to come when he would get his cows. And when morning came, the old lady came and told him, "My child, stay inside, and if you hear any noise, do not come out and do not make any sound." He nodded. But as soon as it began to thunder outside and the noise was so loud and it shook the whole room, he ran outside. And the old lady said, "Please go back inside." He went back inside, and when the sound of thunder began, he ran back outside over and over again until the old lady was quite annoyed and said, "Hey, get out of my homestead. Go. You do not want any property." And that is how this young man went back home, tired, hungry, and with nothing but the sword he had gotten from along the way.
Hermano.